On this week's show, how to raise finance and joint venture.
And we're going to be answering all of your questions in today's question and answer session.
Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share it with all your friends.
Hey, I'm Russell Leeds.
Hey, I'm Alasdair Cunningham.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. How are you doing, my friend? You look like you're in a Porsche.
I am. I'm good. I'm just out on some viewings yesterday and today, so I'm just travelling back to London at the minute. So I've just stopped into a truck stop by the looks of things. There's lorries everywhere. I've got people in yellow high-vis jackets wondering what the hell I'm doing, and I'm here at a truck stop in Milton Keynes because it's the only place I could get decent signal. So all good. What about yourself? How's things?
Yeah, I'm very well, very well. Just enjoying the sun. I mean, it's 30 degrees today.
Yeah, it's according to my vehicle. It is. Let me have a look. It is. Wow, it's 31.5 degrees already, and it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So all good.
But you've gone a bit north, haven't you? So it gets a bit cooler.
A bit north. I'm like 30 miles away, but okay. Yeah, it's not like I've gone up to Scotland, mate. You Southerners are all the same. Anywhere past the M25, you call north. Like, it's just not. Okay. Anyway.
Scotland, though, it's probably like 20?
No, it's, I was speaking to my parents yesterday, and it was like 29, something like that. It was quite warm up there. So, it's all good.
I'm going to check it now.
It's probably
Aberdeen.
29 with a heavy chance of rain and possibly sleet.
In Aberdeen right now, it's 19.
Wow. Okay, Aberdeen's proper north. That's proper up north. So.
Can you imagine
anyway,
how depressing it must be to live there, though? Like on a day where it's like 36 degrees in London and it's 19. I mean, that is like.
That's like saying how depressing is it to live in the UK when France is 40 degrees?
No, because I wouldn't want it hotter than. I wouldn't really want it hotter than 36 degrees.
Well, you know, my point is, it's a pretty same example, isn't it? Like some places, like if you're on the south coast or you're in London, it's probably quicker for you to go to France than it is to go to north of Scotland. And France is always hotter than generally UK. So, anyway, what have you been up to then?
Like I said, just working, enjoying the sun. Nothing majorly groundbreaking. Carrying on with the personal training.
Yeah.
Good. So yeah, nothing too overly exciting I can think of really to share, unfortunately.
Cool. Good. Right, let's crack on then. So how do we raise finance? Because it's something I get asked all the time about. People are always asking me how to raise finance, and they need money for deals. Where does it come from, and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's a really relevant topic.
Well, I would say the only deals that I've ever raised finance for in the past are buy, refurbish, refinance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because let's say, even if you had a really nice, say, I don't know, 20% return on investment rental property, if you borrowed the money, it's going to take you 5 years at that rate to pay them back.
I agree. I think the only deals you'll ever really raise money quite easily is really good buy, refurbish, refinance deals or developments, which are sort of tied into buy, refurbish, refinance. So basically, any sort of deal that you can do that adds value and has the opportunity to then withdraw cash from the deal.
Through a sale or through a refinance of the property.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would our listeners and viewers go about, what would you say is the first step they would need to do to go about finding an investor or somebody to lend them money to do a joint venture with or to raise finance from?
Sure. Well, the first thing I would say is you need some good deals.
Yeah, it all starts with deals. I was hoping you were going to say that. It all starts with good deals, because if the deal is rubbish. Nobody's going to invest in it. That's just simple. That's basic. But the money comes from a good deal, 100%.
And you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Who's going to want to lend money to someone who's experimenting with the money?
Well, exactly. You've got to understand that the sort of people that have money available to invest, they've got that money through hard work, through investing prior probably, and saving their money up. And it's their hard-earned money, so they're not just going to give it away to some complete amateur that doesn't come across as professional and's got no skin in the game, doesn't know what they're doing, and is just doing it on a whim, so to speak. So I agree entirely. You need to really, really know what you're doing.
This is one of the reasons why I think deals things are a really good thing to get started with as a property investor if you don't have much money, because it's a great way of gaining experience, especially if you're a deal sourcer that's working with an experienced investor. You're doing the dog body work for them, and they're paying.
Yeah.
It's a great way of gaining the experience without actually having to do it.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that.
You are doing it without doing it. So, for example, if you went out and found a few BRR deals, sold them on, and you saw them work, and you got the quotes, and you're like, look, I've seen this. I found the deal. I got paid an fee or whatever, but I saw this work, and this guy that went on it, he ended up putting in 100 grand, pulling out 100 grand. Now he owns property.
Yeah.
If you've done it a few times like that, it's a great way to get some experience.
Yes,
I would say.
I agree with that, because the thing is, right? When you put yourself, put yourself the investor, the person with the money. What is it if somebody came to you and said, "Look, I've got this deal. I want you to invest in it." What would you, as the investor, be looking for? What would you be wanting? Right now, I know people come to me all the time asking for money, and one of the first things I do, I had somebody come to me yesterday, literally last night. I was driving up towards Birmingham, and I had somebody message me and say, "Look, Alasdair, we've got this really good deal. We're buying it for about £300,000. It needs about £400,000 to £500,000 spending on it. So that's like going to be around £850,000 in with all legal fees. But it's worth like 1.2, 1.3 million." So like they start describing it all to me, and they start telling me about the ins and outs, and I'm like, I actually don't give a rip about that. What I care about is numbers, money in, money out. What do I need to do? How much money do you need from me? That's what I care about. So when you think about that, if you're looking to make it the deal as presentable as possible to an investor, and that investor wants to see that you've done your homework on it, and that you've done the building quotes, you've got people to go out and assess it, you know where you stand with planning, you've had an architect look at it, you've had planning officers look at it, and they can clearly see that you've done research and due diligence on the deal. You've not just gone to Rightmove and said, "Oh, there's a deal that's going to be a good buy, refurbish, refinance. Let me see if I can find the money for it," and then buy it. Because that's just buying blind. You're not buying with education. You're buying from an idiotic point of view where you're just going, "I love that one, please," and you're just buying it because you want to raise the money to buy it. An investor's not going to invest in that because they can do that. What you need to do is you need to find a deal that an investor can't potentially find themselves and say, "Look, this is what I've got, this is what I need, this is what you'll get back," and then take it from there. That's what you need.
Yeah. Or it might be that they could find the deal themselves, but they just happen to have not done. And I was speaking to an investor the other day. Are you like rolling?
No.
I could just see like it's very difficult to see because the sun's shining so brightly. But there was just like it looked like is it a lorry driving past you?
There's lorries driving past. Because at the minute I'm double parked in a petrol station at a truck stop, so I might get moved on, but I don't think so.
Like you were just rolling down the hill or something.
Fucking I hope not. But no, we're good.
I've lent money to deals before where they're deals that I could have easily found. But I didn't. Yeah. I'm looking at this now. I'm looking at this option in front of me, and they found it, and I need to put money in. And if I do, I get. See, I've done both. I've lent money, and I've been lent money.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with. Do you know what I think it is? You just hit the nail on the head. You've done both there. You've lent and you've loaned. You've borrowed and you've lent money. I think what happens is some investors, they get the ego about them, where they don't like to ask for money because it's like they're begging for money. But it's not. It's not at all. if you've got a good deal, you've not got an unlimited pot of money. I don't care who you are in the world, your money will run out. And all it means is if you're a multi-millionaire, all it means is you're doing deals that are multi-million pounds. Whereas if you're like somebody new to the game, you're doing smaller deals. You've got to learn to walk before you run, right? So the deals are, I believe, the deals that you're doing financially are where you're at in your business, where you're at in your journey. Like, it's very rare you're going to see the likes of like really, really well-off people that have been doing it a long time doing 50 grand buy refurb refinances. They're just not going to be doing them because there's not enough money in it. There's just not, their appetite's bigger at this point and their experience level is bigger. So like, for instance, I'm not that interested in little 50, 60,000, 70,000 pound buy refurb deals, because after all the time, all the effort you put into them to make 5 to 10 grand, it's just not worth it, right? But I'll do a couple £100,000 deals because that's where I'm at in my journey. Just like somebody else who might be a couple of years advanced, they might be doing £800,000 deals or whatever. And I'm looking at big deals at the minute, but I'm not in there at the minute to do them. So don't worry about where somebody else is on the journey. Don't worry about asking for money, because doesn't matter who you are, what you are, doesn't matter what money you have available, you will run out of money in this game, because cash flow in this game is difficult. Cash in this game is crucial. And the reality is, again, no matter how much money you've got in the bank today, if that right deal comes along, you probably haven't got enough to fund it. So you're going to have to learn to raise finance.
Okay, so you want to raise finance then? We've talked a bit about getting some experience behind you and doing your due diligence and getting your numbers. But if you were going to give, and I can give first if you want to, I can go. But if you were going to give practical advice to someone in how you're starting, because like the first time I borrowed money, I was 19.
Wow. Okay.
I had no experience. I was 19 years old. Bought my first property. I borrowed money to do it. So how? I actually borrowed it from 2 different sources. So, but how would you? What advice would you give to get someone started that maybe other than, you know, what would you suggest?
Okay, number one, get good at finding deals. You've got to be able to find deals and package that deal in a way that's presentable. So don't just send an investor a link on Rightmove and say, hey, here's a deal I'm going to buy. They want to see proper due diligence. So number one, I've already covered it. I'm not going to go into too detail on it. Just do the deal, do the due diligence, make sure the deal works, make sure it's a proper, it's an investment that somebody might be interested in. Number two, then start telling people about it. Start talking to people about it and stop being scared that people are going to steal the deal off you. Serious investors don't steal deals. Serious investors are serious business people and they like to work with people. So don't be so scared that you can't tell somebody about it because you're scared they're going to steal the deal off you. They're just not. It's just not reality. Does it ever happen? Yeah, but like the reality is it doesn't happen day to day. So tell people about it. Tell the world about it. But don't advocate like hassling all your friends and family about it because they probably don't want to hear about it. Tell investors about it. Tell people that have got money about it and qualify them investors. So if somebody
about it a bit of a different way to that. So first of all, I would say you find your investors before you have a deal.
Yeah.
Once you've got a deal, it's too late.
Yeah, it kind of is because you've already gone a little bit too far. So yeah, I agree with that.
It's different. Different if you like now.
Yeah.
Like if you're you now, you find a deal, you got a database of people, just send it out because you've got the brand, you've got the reputation. That's why people say, oh, it's easy for you, Alasdair. I'm talking about someone now who doesn't have the brand, doesn't have the reputation, just getting started. So first thing I would do is I would do what I was suggesting with deal sourcing. So I'd either do co-deal sourcing or I'd just source for free. And just say, look, I'll find you a deal, a BRR deal. First of all, get educated, learn about BRR. If you want to learn, so you need to know your stuff. But
of course.
Then you then do some for free or do co-deal sourcing or deal sourcing, or whatever. But get in the process so you understand the process of finding deals. Then what I would do is I would just go around and I would just tell people about the deals. So if I was having a conversation with you, and by the way, if I want you to ask me about work or what I'm doing. I don't start off telling you. I start off by saying, so how's things at work with you, Alasdair?
Yeah.
And you'll say, blah, 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 and what's the polite thing to say once you finish telling me?
Well, yeah, I would ask you how you're getting on.
Oh, brilliant! Right, so that's how you get people to ask you about what you're doing, right? Or how what you've been up to, how things, whatever you want to say. So they ask you, listen to them first, and actually listen as well, and have a proper conversation. Don't just be like, oh, really? Yeah, because you want
to. Pardon? What did you say? What did you say? I missed that. Go on.
So hear them out, listen to what they've got to say. Anyway, once they've done and they ask you, you go, oh, brilliant, actually, and tell them about some of the deals. Well, I've been doing some deal sourcing for people. So basically what I do is I find these deals where my investors, they put their money in and then put it out again. So let's say they've got 20 grand or that would be a low end deal. Or maybe they've even got 100 grand, but they put the 100 grand in, they pull the money back out. They get to keep the house. They give me a fee. Everyone's a winner. However, what I'm looking for now is I'm looking for joint venture partners where we'll actually be together. So be like this. So and then just that's it.
I do agree with you. I think finding deals and finding investors go hand in hand, but it's like the chicken and the egg thing. What comes first? So I actually tend to agree with you. You should always be You should be doing both. So what I think is when you're first getting started, you should be instantly, the day you decide this is what you want to do, you should be telling people what you want to do and what you're going to be doing and saying to them, look, if I find any deals in the future, are you interested in hearing about them? And then just taking names and keeping in touch with them. Do you know a thing that a lot of people don't do?
I borrowed the money first time. I didn't even have a deal.
Oh, didn't you? Wow.
I got 30 grand. I gave it them on 10% interest and I just borrowed the money in faith that I'd be able to go find a deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you know you can find a deal and return the money, that's fine. But I think what a lot of people fail to do in this industry is they build a connection with people, but they don't stay in touch with them. And then randomly, 6 months later, they ring the person up and say, oh, hey, remember we met at this networking event? And that person's like, dude, I've met 100 people since I met you. Who the heck are you? Property is about people. It's relationships, okay? So if you want to raise money from people, remember that the money comes from people. If you want to raise money from people, you've got to have a relationship with them. You've got to have a connection with them. Don't for 1 minute think that you can just whack a Facebook advert out or whack a post on Facebook saying, hey, I found this great deal. I need to raise 100 grand. Send me the money. Because it ain't going to freaking happen. And if you think that, you're an idiot. It just ain't going to happen. It comes from building relationship.
From people that I've literally, before I borrowed money from them, I've got their phone, they're in my phone.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got it on my phone, I've got hundreds and hundreds of contacts on my phone, and I've got next to the name. So I've got their name, how much money I know they've got available to invest, and where I met them. So I know where I met them, I know how much money they've got available to invest, so that when they ring me or I ring them, I know who they are, where I met them, and what sort of level of income, money they've got to invest. And it's all about having that relationship, having that connection. So I think number one and number two should always be find a deal, but talk to investors about what you're doing. So when that deal comes along, you can make that phone call. You can say, hey, Mr. Investor, this is what we've got, or Mrs. Investor, this is what we've got. I know you said you had a couple £100,000 to invest. Is it something you'd like to hear further details about? And then you go to the next level by sending over due diligence, information, all that sort of stuff about the deal. But don't just, honestly, guys and ladies, don't just think for 1 minute that you can just not speak to your investors and then whack a Facebook advert out or post out and you're going to have floods and floods of people trying to lend you money. It ain't going to happen. This takes time. It's a continual daily effort of speaking and engaging with people that you're wanting to do business with. Because business happens over time. It comes from relationships. Yeah, and that's the biggest bit of advice I can give people is tell people always be talking to people about what you're doing in this business. Doesn't matter if you don't need anything now. You're always, it's like we call it planting the seed. You're planting the seed for that future growth. You're planting that seed so that one day that tree pops out the ground, and that's when you jump. That's when you strike.
Also, if you just make a habit of it, you're just doing it as a way of, but just normal, just building relationships. Like I can think of at least 2 people that I've done deals with that have lent me money as part of a project. I didn't even know they had money.
Yeah. That's a good point. Very good point.
Because I was about what I was doing.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because you're just telling them what you're doing. And the thing is, not everybody sort of brags and shows off about money. They don't. A lot of people, you generally find the wealthier the person, the less they sort of scream and shout about it. They tend not to, because they like to remain humble and remain quiet. So they don't shout and bawl about how much money they've got in the bank or how much money they have. So it's the person that you think has got money that's probably not got money, and the person that hasn't got money, that you feel hasn't got money, probably has got money.
Yeah.
The richest person in the room is not the best dressed, I can tell you that much. And it's not the people driving flashy cars and all that sort of shit. And it's just not.
Alasdair in his Porsche with Hugo Boss outfit on.
Hugo Boss t-shirt cost £58 at Bicester Village last week. 48. I went to Bicester Village and saved loads of money.
Designer outfit though, isn't it?
Say again?
You're in a premium designer outfit in a premium designer car.
Yeah. Yeah, but dude, I've just spent £160,000 of my own money on a deal, so I've got the car and I can walk the walk. So. I funded that off my own back, and it hurt. Trust me, it hurt. Like, and I'm feeling the pain. Trust me, because when you get these good deals come along, sometimes you just you got to buy them.
Yeah.
And I stand to make over conservatively £100,000 pure profit. So.
Like, I know, for example, and you just become friends with people that have got money. So, like, I know if I had a deal and I turned around to you and said, "Hey, Al, can you put 50 grand in this deal? This is a good deal." Yeah. And you know that I would do the same. You know, if you turn around to me and said, "Hey, you did the other day. I'm going to do this. If it comes off, do you want to go in with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
So you've got people around you. You build up that network. Like, I trust you. I know that you're going to give me a crappy deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Like, I just wouldn't do it. And that's the thing. You're right in what you say. A lot, but that comes down to relationships. Like, me and you've known each other for 3 years. We've been like we've had this love for years. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you love me, I hate you, and all that sort of stuff. No, I'm kidding. No, we've had this love-hate relationship. Do you know what I mean? For 3 years. So, but that comes with time and trust, and that's why, like, if you rang me up and said, "I've got a deal, I need 30 grand," I'd be like, "Yeah, fine, there." Like, do you know what I mean? If I've got it, you can have it. But like, to be in that position is good. And I've got many investors that are like that, because like, I don't always ring them for a reason. So like, I might just ring them up just to see how they're getting on. Like, so I'm keeping that engagement. I might just ring them up and say, "Hey, how you doing? Not spoke for a couple of months, just checking in, make sure you're all right. Do you need any help with any deals that you're doing, or do you need anything, or are you all right?" And things like that. And it's things like that. I do regular sort of webinars, coaching calls with people that are investors, just like, what we're doing, what do we need help with? Do you know what I mean? It's all adding value to people, so that when you do that, they come to you with opportunities, and then you just got to snap it up. But like, do you know what? Do you know, like, let me think of an example. Do you know, like, when you drive in a car and you go around a roundabout, you naturally put the indicator on, don't you? Or, well, most people do. Like, most people naturally put the indicator on, and they don't need to think about pressing the brake when they come up to a junction, or they don't need to think about accelerating when the lights go green. It's all natural. It's second nature, right? This is what it should be like in your business when it comes to speaking to investors. It should become your second nature. It should be, like, every day, part of your daily business routine is to speak to people within your business, within your network, and see what they're up to, see how you're getting on, see how you can help them, see if there's any opportunities. It should be part of it. It's hand in hand with going out and finding deals. It's hand in hand with going to a networking event, or going to a training session, or doing whatever morning routine or evening routine or afternoon routine you do. Should be speaking to your investors.
Yeah. And I think what you were talking about, I agree with what you're saying about tell the world you're an investor, you know, like we're doing this podcast right now. So yeah, we're telling people, hey, you know, we do, you know, there's thousands of people that listen to this, but not just the people that listen to this, but also the people that you know that hang around with you. So, I now live in in an area where there's a lot of people that have got money.
Yeah.
And where the kids go to school, there's a lot of parents there that have got money.
Yeah.
And then, you know, me as the property guy, the guy that's got a property investors podcast, so there's now. So that you're telling everyone, you'd be telling people on social media, and it might be that no one that listens to this podcast ever does a JV with us, maybe.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm putting it out there, other people that I know and see will be like, oh yeah, you do development, don't you? You do.
Yeah.
You've got this, you've got that, because they see it all on social, and if they want
to,
so
I agree with you. You just got to tell people and not be ashamed of what you do. Just tell the world what you do. And do you know what? I'm going to drum this home again and again and again. It's a slow burner. It's something that happens. That you have to do a little bit of action every single day, and then boom, you start getting investment. Like it's just. Say again.
Anything that's worthwhile, like getting
anything that's worthwhile. Of course, absolutely. It's not going to happen today. Like, don't think for 1 minute you're going to watch this podcast, listen to what we've just said, and tomorrow you're going to have somebody texting you saying, "Let me lend you 40 grand." It's very, very unlikely. It's a case of time, constantly putting the time, putting the effort in, and just waiting and seeing the results. That's what it's a case.
Bang on. Okay, it's now time for this.
So this part of the show is we do answer your questions, and every single week we'll do a Facebook Live on the Property Investors with Samuel Leeds Facebook group, and I'll ask for your questions, and people will have the opportunity to send your questions in, and we'll do our best to answer them. So let me just jump on and see what questions we have available. Okay, so there's a couple come through at the minute. This is one I've got actually from last week's podcast that we done last week. So the question is, hey, Alasdair, Russell, love the show.
Thank you.
Hey, Alasdair, Alison, Russell, love the show. Tune in every week. I'm looking at doing lease options in the northeast. What is the best place, or what is the first thing I should do to start looking for them? Now, listen, lease options, you're actually probably in the best part of the country for the northeast for lease options. The reason being is, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a bank called Northern Rock, and they were quite prominent in the failing of the banking system during the 2008 recession. One of the reasons being is they were issuing 120% mortgages. So you could have a house that was worth £120,000, and you could, subject to your credit, all that sort of stuff, get a loan of up to 120% of the value. So actually more than the property is worth. Now, what that meant was they were lending more. They were lending more than the security was available, because they know prices always go up. But we know that's not always true, and now and again prices go down, but they historically go up. So what happened was 2008, obviously the property market crashed, house prices dipped massively, and in some areas of the country they've never recovered, such as the northeast, the northwest, such as areas like Blackpool, places like that. They've never recovered, and they probably will recover, but it's taking a lot longer than expected. Therefore, you've got houses that are now in negative equity because they've got a higher mortgage than they actually are worth. So in the northeast, parts of the northwest, really good places for lease option agreements. Firstly, get educated on lease option agreements. And if you're not educated on lease option agreements, then you shouldn't really be doing it. So we'll put a link in below. Go on. We do webinars about lease options every couple of weeks. Watch one of them webinars. And I highly recommend you come on and do the lease option bootcamp. It is a severely good course. It will teach you how to find lease options and the exact scripts of what to say, so that when you speak to a vendor, you can secure them and you get a win-win situation for both you and the vendor. Now, first thing, get educated. Second thing, start looking for houses that are negative equity. Look for houses that are on the market and they're trying to sell them for more than the actual value of the properties in that area. That kind of tells you that they need to sell it for more than it's worth, because they've probably got a higher mortgage. So that's second step. Third thing, get a viewing, but ideally you want to be viewing the property direct to vendor. And then you want to be listening to the vendor and understanding what their problems are. Why can't they sell it? Why have they been trying to sell it for so long? What's their situation? Are they negative equity, or are they just holding out for a good price? Like, really understand what their problem is, what their situation is, and how you can help them. And if you can help them, by remaining legal and ethically correct, and by offering a lease option agreement, then go for it. Just last night, I was speaking to a lady that I'd done a lease option with about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And she phoned me up just to check in. And I was on the phone to her at 11 o'clock last night. She texted me and said, "Alasdair, are you free for a quick chat when you're about?" And I said, "No problem, let's chat now if you're free." So I jumped on the phone to her. She's really happy with the way things are going. She's really happy with the fact that I've paid every month. She's now paying her mortgage every month. There's no problems. All she really wanted to do was just make sure the property was still standing and there was no issues with it, all that sort of stuff. But for her and for me, it's a win-win. I paid her rent, the lease payment every month without fail, even during lockdown when the property was empty, which she's grateful for. And we're going to try and complete in that property sooner rather than later. So look, for us, it was a win-win. So that's what you got to do. Find the leads, speak to the vendors, offer a win-win situation, do it legally, do it correct, do it above board, and you'll have no problems. But most importantly, in this strategy, more than any other strategy, get educated. It's so crucial to be educated. So there'll be a link below for Simon 365, Lease Option Bootcamp, or one of the webinars that we run.
Oh, okay, one last question. This one's from Michael. He says, if you had £5,000 and wanted to double it in 1 month, what would you do?
Go to the casino.
Yeah, you would.
I could do that. Okay, £5,000, double it in 1 month. What would I be doing? It depends, because it depends if you're already set up as a deal sourcer. It just depends. £5,000, double it in 1 month in property. I honestly, without knowing your situation, it's not a straightforward answer without knowing your situation. Because if you've got a compliant deal sourcing business, it's very easy. But if you've not, then you've got to set your deal sourcing business up, and that'll take longer than a month. You could perhaps put it into a rent-to-rent. I know some rent-to-rent service accommodations make very good money, but again, you're not going to make that sort of money in rent-to-rent.
Not in a month.
Not in a month. It's going to be 3-4 months. You're talking £5,000 to £10,000 a month.
Well, basically, you're saying how do you get a 1,200% ROI?
Yeah.
You're going to struggle.
You are going to struggle.
In a month.
Dude, blackjack.
It answers your question. Become a blackjack king like Alasdair, or just slightly more realistic expectations, because I don't think you're going to be able to double starting from scratch. I don't think you're going to be able to.
You're not. You're just not. Not in any sort of conventional investing. You're just not. Not from a standing start. Like, I could go out this week and make $5,000, but just for a newbie to come along with $5,000, I mean, that is, in fact, if you are a newbie, you didn't mention where you're at. So let's just say you're a newbie, $5,000 at $10,000 in a month.
You're not going to do it. The only way you can do it is by earning it. You're not going to do it from investing.
Yeah. Oh, the other way is if you know somebody that wants to borrow $5,000 and they're prepared to pay $5,000 in interest for a month. But yeah, I know people, mate. Like, if you've got somebody that needs a little bit of money to get, it's just not real. It's not realistic. It's just not. It's just crazy. It's not going to happen, my friend.
It's not going to happen. Sorry to burst that bubble, Michael. And on that bombshell, it is now to end. So, guys, thanks ever so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, hit us up, ask us questions, slag off Alasdair, whatever you want to do. And
I don't mind.
He likes it.
I don't mind. I don't actually. I've got very thick skin, so yeah, you throw them at me.
I'm going to tell it. I can see it sagging a bit around your chin.
Nice. See about that love-hate relationship we had. This is the moment where I hate you, you prick. Right, let's go.
See you next week, guys.
See you guys.